So today, we're going to dive into something pretty fascinating. It's an ancient practice that claims it can unlock a student's hidden potential by teaching them how to see, but without using their eyes. It's a yogic technique called Gandhari Vidya, but you might know it as third eye activation.
Right off the bat, here's the big question, the really bold claim at the heart of this whole thing. Can you actually teach a child to read a book or pick out a color, all while they're completely blindfolded? Well, according to the people who teach this, the answer is a definite yes.
So you're probably wondering, how on earth is that even possible? Well, according to the practitioners, the secret sauce, the key to it all, is awakening a center of intuition and inner wisdom, something they call the third eye. Let's dig into what that actually means.
To really wrap our heads around this, we have to go back to the beginning. We've got to look at its origins, which are really deep-rooted in ancient Indian traditions and yogic science. So the name itself, Gandhari Vidya, actually comes from a really important figure in the Hindu epic, the Mahabharata. There was a queen named Gandhari, and she famously blindfolded herself for her entire life, all out of devotion to her husband, who was blind. The whole practice draws its name and, its inspiration from her story of developing this incredibly powerful inner sight.
Okay, so at the very core of this is the concept of the Ajna chakra. Now, in yogic philosophy, the body is said to have these 7 main energy centers or chakras. The Ajna chakra is the one located right on your forehead, between the eyebrows, and it's considered the absolute hub of intuition and perception that goes beyond our normal sight.
And this idea has some seriously deep cultural roots. Just think about it. In Hindu tradition, the deity Lord Shiva is almost always shown with a third eye right on his forehead. Now, that's not meant to be a literal physical eye. It's symbolic. It represents a higher state of consciousness, the power to see the truth and reality way beyond the physical world that we see every day.
Okay, I get it. When you hear claims like reading while blindfolded, it's easy for the skeptic in you to kick in. Is it a magic trick, a myth? So let's take a closer look at how the practitioners themselves explain what this is, and maybe even more importantly, what it isn't.
And this is a really crucial distinction they make. The sources are absolutely clear. This is not some magic trick to fool people. It's not a shortcut, and it's definitely not black magic. Instead, they frame it as a very disciplined yogic technique, almost like a science of human existence, that's designed to systematically awaken these abilities that they believe are already inside all of us. So, what does the training actually look like? Well, it's a pretty structured process. First, it starts with yogic techniques to just relax the mind and really sharpen focus. Then you move into guided meditations and relaxation exercises. After that, students start doing specific activities with their eyes closed, like identifying colors, to start tapping into that intuition. And the key part? Daily home practice is a must to really build up and strengthen this skill over time. All right, all of this leads to a pretty central question. Why take this ancient practice and apply it to students today? I mean, what's the real point? Well, according to proponents, the answer is all about the real, tangible benefits it can offer in their day-to-day lives, both at school and just in general. So according to the practitioners, a lot of the common struggles that students face, feeling anxious, stressed out, not being able to make decisions, they see those as symptoms of an unbalanced Ajna chakra. The whole goal of the practice is to get that energy center back in balance, which they say leads to being more calm, more decisive, and just generally more mindful. And this is really where the rubber meets the road. They claim that by balancing the third eye, you're essentially clearing the mind of all that clutter, the fear, the anxiety. And with that mental clarity, that's when you start to see all these other benefits pop up. Way better focus in school, sharper cognitive skills, more emotional intelligence, and what it all leads to, academic success. So at the end of the day, all the eye-catching stuff with the blindfolds, it's really just a means to an end. The fundamental goal here is to cultivate a state of inner well-being, helping kids become more focused, more emotionally balanced, and more mindful individuals. And that really brings us to the core philosophy behind this whole practice. It's the idea that this isn't about giving kids a new power, but about waking up something that's been there all along.
Here it is. The core belief is that intuition, that ability to perceive things beyond our regular 5 senses, is something we're all born with. It's a natural human trait. It's not a superpower. It's just a natural ability that, for most of us, has just gone dormant. So then, why is this training specifically aimed at children from age 6 to 18? Well, the rationale is that kids' minds are just
fresher. They're less cluttered with all the obsessive thoughts and fixed patterns that we adults tend to build up over the years. This mental freshness, they say, gives them a much easier time accessing these innate intuitive skills.
Ultimately, looking into a practice like Gandhari Vidya kind of pushes us to ask a much bigger question. Beyond just what our physical eyes can perceive, what other ways are there to understand the world around us? It really challenges us to think that maybe, just maybe, true sight has more to do with inner clarity than it does with just physical vision.